Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Dhamma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Chapita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vedyat Ravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Yata sarvani bhutani pratibhanti sthitani cha yatraivo bhashamam yanti tasmai satyatmane namaha. So where are we in our text?
Chapter 3, number 23.
Chapter 3, number 23. Nate, will you help us out, please?
New section. Section 3. Jivan Mukta Lakshanam. The characteristics of one who is liberated while living. Niranam Jnanaika Nishthanam Atma Jnanam Vicharinam Sajivan Muktato Deti Videhon Mukta Taivaya. For persons who have only knowledge as their end and who reflect on self-knowledge, there arises the state of liberation while living, which is only equivalent to the bodiless supreme liberation.
Oh, this is a really wonderful verse. So we have these two ideas in the literature, being Jivan Mukta, liberated while living, and Videha Mukta or Moksha, liberated beyond the body. And the difference is this. Dvaita Vedantins thunder, self-realization is here now in this very body. The proponents of Videha Moksha say, oh no, you accrue punya, you expiate papam, and if you're really, really good, then after death you go to Brahmaloka, where you hang out for years and years and years, and at the end of the age, poof, you're liberated. But let's look at what the words literally mean. What does Videha Moksha mean? Beyond the body, liberation. The mark of the person of steady wisdom is they know they are not the body. So in actuality, there is no distinction. The Vedanta thunders, be a mumukshu, be a seeker after liberation, be a jignasu, one who wants realization. Now, what is my bondage? My bondage is nothing more than the firm conviction in the mind, technically in the subtle intellect, that I'm bound, meaning I'm a person. I'm my body, or my body plus the personality. There is a world of name and form separate from me that's inherently joy-giving and misery-producing. And I have kartavya, struggle. I'll be happy when. What is realization? What is moksha? There is no other liberation than the deeply rooted conviction, again in the subtle intellect. Not that I'm a Mahatma, not that I'm a realized person, come touch my feet, I'm kind of special. No, I'm not a person. I never was. It was like a long dream. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. I was never bound in the first place, not really. Listen carefully. Neither mental condition touches the self. The self is not bound. It's only a condition of the mind. Now, that doesn't mean it's not important, because it's only the mind that suffers. Self doesn't suffer. Did I talk about Antique Roadshow in this class?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Remember the lady who has the precious brooch?
Yeah.
So she thinks it's a piece of costume jewelry. She goes to Antique Roadshow. She finds out, no, those are diamonds. It's set in platinum, and that's a sapphire in the middle. It's $250,000. It did not change. There was no, what the philosophers would say, ontological change. Ontology is the study of being. But there was an epistemological change. All of a sudden, she had different knowledge about her brooch.
Is that what epistemological means?
Epistemology is the study of knowing.
So when self-realization happens, you use the metaphor of Tarzan or Moses.
Or the Antique Roadshow.
Is it like that? It's just like all of a sudden your mind just knows the truth instead of not?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's rooted in direct experience,
Right.
not just in conditioning.
Right.
You going, I am Brahman, I am Brahman, I am Brahman is
Right.
a waste.
Yeah, right, because that's
Bunch
not,
of speech.
yeah, that's not, yeah.
Let me see if I can give an example. So you and your sister are very different.
Yes.
What would happen if you found out that you had different fathers?
Yeah. It would explain it, I guess, on some level. Mhm.
Now, would you ontologically change? Would you become a different person?
No.
But your understanding of who you were
Would change.
would
Yeah.
change profoundly.
Yeah.
Or the coming out process. Another good one. So some young girl or some young boy just knows they're different and when they're prepubescent, they're not quite sure what it is, but they think they're somehow different. Then all of a sudden they learn what it is to be gay or lesbian. Oh, that explains everything. That's what I am. So right now, I think I'm the body. The body plus the personality. I'm tall, I'm short, I'm gay, I'm straight, I'm man, I'm woman, I'm smart, I'm stupid, I'm popular, I'm unpopular, I'm successful, I'm not successful. I'm realized, I'm not realized. None of those ideas touch me. Who am I? Satchidananda Rupam. My form is pure existence, pure consciousness. No sorrow ever touches me. Now, that aha in the mind, technical term pratibhignana, the recognition, changes everything. Just like the lady in Antique Roadshow goes home and changes her insurance policy.
Goes and buys a new car. And
She can sell
Yeah.
the jewel, but the point is,
yeah, no, I get it. I get it. Yeah.
all right, any questions about this particular verse? And the thing that it points out, I like to say all the time, self-realization is not difficult. You don't have to have a high IQ. We've started Nisargadatta Maharaj's great book, I Am That, on Wednesday mornings. He was an uneducated man, low caste. His father was a domestic servant, then became a poor farmer. He ran a cigarette shop in Mumbai. But it's very rare. And it's mainly rare because nobody wants it. We may think we want it, but if we examine our motives, it's usually, I want something that's going to make getting what I want better.
I don't quite understand what you mean.
I'll have better relationships.
Oh, it's going to fix my life.
Yeah,
It's going to make me.
I'll have a better job. I'll be more at peace with this, that, or the other thing. It's about fixing my life. And what the scriptures are going to say is, actually, a lot of yoga will do that. There's nothing wrong with using the tools that we get in the spiritual life to maximize your life. But that will not bring you to being Jivan Mukta. You have to want it more than anything else. And be willing to give up attachment to everything. And that comes slowly for many of us. No blame. Understand the bud is not a failure as a bloom. A bud is a perfect bud. And in its season, it becomes blue. And which is more beautiful, the first rose of summer or the last? So we don't compare. Swamiji always used to say it's an evolution, not a revolution. All right, next verse.
Yatha sthitam idam yasya vyavaharavato cha astam gatam sthitam vyoma sa jivan mukta uchyate. He is said to be liberated while living, to whom, though having his occupation, this universe as it stands has vanished and is remaining as a void like the sky.
Yes. Now, these are descriptions of the woman or the man of steady wisdom, the Jiva Mukta. But they always imply a practice for you and me. So, what does the person of steady wisdom see in this world? Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Brahman, the self alone is real. The phenomenal world is Mithya, illusion, false, imagination. So even though the body, mind, intellect is seen to go about in the world, much like any other ordinary person, inside the yogi wants to stay completely detached. Asangoham, 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 puna punaha. Unattached, unattached, unattached to I. Again and again. What does that imply? Well, you may need to practice it. Satchidananda Rupa. My form is existence, consciousness, and bliss. Aham evaham. I am that I am. Avyaya. You. Just like the ordinary person moves through their day and they're not concerned with what happens to their shadow. Is it long? Is it short? Does it fall in the gutter? Does it fall into the bed of flowers? It's there, but it's not me. So also for the Jivan Mukta, I see the body, mind, intellect. It goes through its dance, its lila, impelled by the force of its past and the desires of other people. None of it touches me. Next verse.
Nodeti nastamayati sukhe dukhe mukha prabha yatha prapta sthiti yasya sa jivan mukta uchyate. He for whom the light of the countenance neither goes up nor declines in pleasure or pain, and who remains suitable to circumstances, is said to be liberated while living.
Yes. So, for the person of steady wisdom who has this trick of Atmaramana, She can revel in the self. She does revel in the self. We got this wonderful phrase Monday night, a few weeks back from Panchadashi. Brahmananda Rasa Swad. Tasting the juice of the bliss of Brahman. When the jnani has that, and the neat thing about it is it's always available, and it won't rot your liver, and it's free, and you don't even have to fix your hair. You can wear your bathrobe. It's always there. And does the world have joys and sorrows? For the person of steady wisdom, the term I like to use, they become trinkets and baubles. Krishna says, worldly pleasure becomes like a drop of water falling off of a blade of grass into the ocean. Yeah. The jnani is appropriate to circumstances. If a friend has a death in the family, you give them your condolences. Someone's having a hard day, you listen. Someone needs some help, you help them. But you're like an actor playing a part in a play. Not everybody gets to be the leading lady. They just have a bit part in life. And that's just because peace of mind and happiness is absolutely independent of the circumstances of life. Next verse.
Yojar gati sushuptastho yasya jagrat na vidyate yasya nirvasano bodha sa jivan mukta uchyate. He who is awake while in deep sleep, for whom there is no waking, and from whom the perception is free from past mental impressions, that is, the perception is free from the knowledge derived from memory, is said to be liberated while living.
Okay, this one is subtle and it has a lot of pieces in it. So there's some paradoxical language. So let's take it piece by piece. The first idea.
Who is awake while in deep sleep.
So does that mean that the jnani lies awake in bed all night staring at the ceiling? No. What it means is consciousness never turns off. I illumine the waking state. I illumine the dream state. This is difficult for some people to grasp. I illumines the deep sleep state. Here are some worldly examples. If I were to shut off all the lights and draw all the drapes here at night, would you be blind or would you be seeing darkness? If you were blind and I lit a match, would you see it? No. But if you were seeing darkness and I lit a match, oh yes, there's a match. Anybody wake up last night to go pee?
Mhm.
You sure?
Yes,
Did you know it?
yes.
So you were there knowing deep sleep. Lights off. You were there to know when the mind came awake. Like the match. Simple test. Close your eyes. You can no longer see the room. Are you blind? No. You are seeing the back of your eyelids, which occludes the room. So in deep sleep, the mind is folded up into its seed-like state. But I wake up in the morning and I say, oh, I slept so soundly, I don't remember a thing. You cannot remember anything that you haven't experienced. So the fact that you know that you slept through the night means something was there to illumine waking, dream, and deep sleep. We've been covering this Saturday morning in Mandukya very clearly. Next idea.
For whom there is no waking.
Yes. So, for the ordinary person, they are awake to the insanity of this world. I'm a person. There's a world out there that's inherently joy-giving or inherently misery-producing. It's other than me and other than consciousness. And I have issues. I got to do battle with the world. That's the waking state for other people. And for the jnani, the person of steady wisdom, they're completely asleep. It's not there anymore. Now, what's the practice? Viveka, vairagyacha. Continual discrimination. Not only between the self and the not self. I'm not the body, not the feelings, not the thoughts. I'm the witnessing consciousness. But discrimination with the world. Everything in this world is temporary. Everything in this world is nothing but sankalpa of the infinite. Take it easy. Don't worry. We dial down our reactivity. Sarvamaya, Sarvamana. Begin to see the world as it really is. We are awake in a way that other people are asleep. We are asleep to what they're awake to.
Mhm.
All right, next idea.
For whom the perception is free from past mental impressions.
So the word he's used here is vasana. Perceptions are free from vasana. So from the standpoint of a practice, what does this mean? Stay out of the dead past and the imagination of the future. Focus our attention in the eternal now, which is constantly changing. But when we say free from vasana, what do we mean? A vasana is an impression left in the unconscious as the result of our previous attachments and aversions and identifications. It comes about by an after the fact mentation about events called chintya. Oh, that was so wonderful. I really want to do that again. Oh, that sucked. I'll never do that again. And there's millions of them in the unconscious. And they sprout. They sprout with two powers. The first is a veiling power of Arana Shakti, the non-apprehension of myself. How do I know my mind is covered by vasana? It's a real, clear, simple test. What is it?
I think I'm a person.
Yes, I think I'm a person. I've had the veiling power, non-apprehension of myself as Brahman, and I'm caught in the Vikshepa Shakti. I think I'm a person, and then simultaneously with that comes a problematic world. Oh, the world is wonderful. Give me more, give me more, give me more. Oh, it sucks. Get away, get away, get away. So the practice. If I think I'm a person, I'm deluded. Drop it. Ramana Maharshi gives us the great meditation, Koham, who am I? Not this, not this, not this. I am that partless Brahman. But here we take up the meditation. I like that. Who cares? It's always the ego who cares. Who cares? Oh, drop it, Jim. Over and over and over. Don't try to resolve the struggle of ego. Drop the ego and do as you will. Any thoughts on this? So we want to root out the vasanas, the attachments, and the identifications. How do we do this? There is no more powerful process. Tuning up the mind, this deep introversion. Remembering direct experience. Oh, that's right. Chidakasha. I'm just the space of pure awareness. Shivoham, Shivoham. I am Shiva. I am auspiciousness. Next idea.
For the same thing in parentheses, it said the perception is free from the knowledge derived from memory.
Yeah. And by the memory here, this is the vasanas. That's what that means in parentheses. He's trying to define vasana. Going on.
That's the end. Is said to be liberated by the
Okay. Next verse.
Raga Dvesha Bhaya Dinam Anurupam Charannapi Yoganta Vyoma Vadyacha Sajivan Mukta Uchate. Though behaving in a manner resembling the presence of passion, hate, fear, and the like, He who is extremely pure within, like the sky, is said to be liberated while living.
So, the surface part of the mind may continue to interact with the world. This used to really bother me. I'd struggled with this because I watched Swamiji a lot. And it was very clear there were things he loved. He loved good, spicy food. He really loved fast cars. He didn't drive, but if someone had like a Mercedes or a BMW, and he always rode shotgun, he'd be in the front passenger seat. Faster, faster! He loved it. He loved to go fast in cars. And I'd see him get angry at people. And he would say, I don't get angry. I use my anger. I keep it in my pocket. And I take it out when I need to use it. And when I'm through, I put it back in my pocket. And if we tuned up to him, always Shunya Prasad, he was so empty. There's just nothing there. It's just this little surface. Now, for you and me, we have to make sure we're not fooling ourselves. Are you choosing to let the mind react? Or are you justifying and rationalizing the fact that you're triggered?
Say that again.
Are you choosing to let the mind react?
Mhm.
I mean, you might say to someone, stop doing that.
Right.
But are you doing it because you've got what the Tibetans call crazy wisdom? You're absolutely unattached. You have no investment in the outcome. And your intuition says this is what's appropriate for the moment.
Ah, got it.
Or are you really triggered and fooling yourself?
Yeah.
So the better part of valor, first, Stitha Prajna, where you're absolutely empty and nothing in this world causes the mind to rise or fall. Now give up even that. Is a tricky thing because one can end up rationalizing bad behavior if you're not careful. Any thoughts on this? Next one.
Yasya nahankrito bhavo, yasya buddhi na lipyate, kurvato vapi, sa jivan mukta uchyate. He who does not have an egotistic disposition of the mind, and whose intellect is not tainted, whether he is engaged in action or not, is said to be liberated while living.
Yes. So an egoistic disposition of the mind. Again, one of the things I've shared many times in class, there was someone who had a friend who traveled with the Dalai Lama. And this person said, well, what's he like? And this person said, thought for a moment and said, he's always the smallest person in the room. He's not puffed up. He has no agenda. He just watches. He's empty. And when they put him on a throne with flowers and trumpets and things like that, and then he teaches as the Dalai Lama. No identification. It's a job. That's his karma. That's his prarabdha. So when I say the smallest person in the room, it doesn't mean you're always in the back row. No. Fulfill your duty. Fulfill your function in the world. But have no identification with it. If I can give a worldly example. I can't think of that. Next verse.
Yasmat no dvijate loko lokat no dvijate yachayah harsha marsha bhayon mukta sajivan mukta uchyate. Whom the world is not afraid of, and who is not afraid of the world, and who is free from exultation, anger, and fear. He is said to be liberated while living.
So this is one of the clearest marks of the person of steady wisdom. They are fearless. So we have an expression that we hear now a lot, speaking truth to power. Can you speak truth to power without animus? Can you just tell the truth with no concern for personal consequences? True story. So back when I was working as a church musician, at one point I had a boss, and my perception of the fellow was he wasn't very ethical. And I would, and I tried to be as polite as I could. There was one example of like where he wanted to pay a musician that I would be supervising. That was part of my bailiwick as head of music ministries, less than the diocesan standard. And I said to him, Father, that's not just. He goes, well, he doesn't have to take the job. I said, Father, these are musicians who are gig workers. He will do it because he needs the money, but that doesn't mean it's just. And then I happened, before I had my meeting with him, to have been in the office, and I asked the bookkeeper, by the way, when we get substitute clergy, do we pay them the diocesan standard? And the bookkeeper says, oh no, actually we pay them a little better than that. Father, when you're away and we have substitute clergy, do you pay your brother priests less than the diocesan standard? I already knew the answer, right? And I looked at him with utter contempt. I was not nice. No, I don't. So I didn't say a word. Oh, we'll pay the diocesan standard. Thank you, Father. I mean, over and over and over again. I can remember he got all upset. There was this one gal who was doing this youth ministry thing, and he had some issues with her. She was a little prickly, and he was punishing her. So he was going to take her work away, which meant he would also cut her hours and her income. It was unjust what he was doing. All right, Father, well, if she's not going to be doing the young people's ministry, are you taking on that responsibility? He didn't want to do the work. I just kept poking at him, And other people were terrified of him because he managed through fear. But, I could care less if he fired me. And I have totally flummoxed him because he could not intimidate me. But the yogi has to be an internal sannyasi to behave this way in the world. Sannyasi is one who's given up the world and taken the orange cloth, become a monk, taken a vow, non-ownership. So the yogi, the person of steady wisdom, takes an internal vow of non-ownership of poverty. Then you're free. Free. It allows us to be fearless. This doesn't mean being a jerk, but it allows us not to be intimidated. And unfortunately, in our current political environment, there's a lot of management by fear. And a lot of people are so attached to their positions that it causes them to compromise their integrity. The yogi is unique. I'm having a senior moment. Read the whole verse for me again. So I make sure I get all the pieces of it.
Whom the world is not afraid of, and who is not afraid of the world, and who is free from exaltation, anger, and fear.
So the person of steady wisdom is kind, has no agenda. Two characters come to my mind, St. Francis of Assisi, where even the animals would come up to him, same as Ramana Maharshi. They're not scary people, unless they choose to be scary. Yet they move through the world just like you or I. All right, next one.
Jim, I actually have a question.
Please, Michael.
When it comes to freedom from fear, is it saying that the body and the mind will be completely absent of fear, or that I, as Atman, can't experience fear, but fear may still occur at the bodily, mental level?
Well, that's something you get to work out for yourself. Personally, I think that, of course, the self has no fear. But my experience is, for the person of steady wisdom, their mind is fearless. Now, if I'm walking across the street and there's a real loud noise. Do I jump and get an adrenaline rush? Yeah. But that's kind of like body instinct. But the kind of fear that afflicts most of us, mostly around people, that can go. Now, was it you that went bungee jumping and had your fear of heights wiped out?
Mhm.
Tell us the story.
Hmm. To set the context, I was scared of heights as a kid, forever. I mean, as far as I can remember. And then I was about 24 years old, and my friends, we were in South Africa, and my friends basically booked this bungee jump without really telling me. And we showed up at this bungee jump, which was on a bridge and overlooking the valley. So like very terrifying for me, but very exciting for everyone else. And I was obviously very terrified. And it had like a transparent like bottom, so you can, standing on like, and you can
Wow.
see the depth of the valley. And so I was terrified. And sure enough, we picked numbers to who goes, the order, and I was last. So I was essentially watching everyone fall, and there were like 6 of us. And so the whole 6, it was a good hour of just feeling the fear and like all of that. But I think by the end of it, it was my turn. And then when I jumped, just before the jump, I was still very terrified, and I was thinking about all of the possibilities that could happen. But then when I jumped, my mind just stopped, and it was just the jump that was there. And then I was down there, and I was like, oh wow, this is actually pretty cool. And I completely forgot about the fear. And then when I returned, like something had shifted.
Wow. So are you no longer afraid of heights?
Yeah, not anymore.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing.
So is that useful, Michael?
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
And you weren't even a yogi yet.
Could you also say that the resistance to feeling discomfort, which includes fear, falls away? So, despite the fact that something may appear scary or shocking or unexpected, the resistance to it is no longer is there, which creates more suffering and more pain.
And if for example, fear is a thing that afflicts you, if you're present to your fear and you're totally with it, and don't try to use spiritual justification, Michael. Oh, it's okay for the mind and the body to feel fear. That everybody feels that. It just means that the self doesn't feel it. That can be kind of a bit of a Vedanta cop out, if you know what I mean. It means be present to it. It means the rule of the mind is anything that we completely experience, any psychic experience, mental, emotional, if it's fully experienced, the charge tends to dissipate.
Yeah.
If it's resisted or denied, it tends to persist.
I had about a year. I've always been very fearful, where in the middle of the night, I would have fear arise and I just would be with it. But it kept coming. I mean, it came back and back. I mean, it was really about a year of regularly having terror, no content, just the experience in the body. And now it doesn't happen anymore because it just was allowed to
Exhaust
do
yourself.
what it needed to do.
Yeah.
And I stopped resisting. And yeah.
Another experience out of my own life. I used to have a terrible fear of being destitute. Terrible fear of it. And I don't need to go into where I picked up that thought, but it was from my family of origin. And while I was in the ashram, we had two houses. We had the house in the Haight, and we had another one out in 26th Avenue. And I was staying in the house in the Haight, and I was unemployed for like 2 or 3 years at this period. I had no money. And we would occasionally do some catering, and you get a little, a few bucks. But anyway, I wanted to go out and see Ram, the guy who ran the house in the avenues. And I had 25 cents to my name. And in those days, that's what the muni cost. So I put my quarter in the muni box, and I got my transfer, and I went out to the avenues, and I talked with Ram. My doubt, I have no idea what it was I talked about. That was unimportant. So I get back, and I'm going to cheat. I'm going to try to use my transfer to go back to the Haight. They're only good in one direction. So I get on the bus, I show him my transfer. He says, this is expired, and anyway, it's the wrong direction. So I have to get off the bus. So this is about 30 big blocks in San Francisco, 26th Avenue. And there it was, my worst fear. I was stranded and broke. And I just started to laugh because nothing happened. It was a beautiful spring day in San Francisco. I had nothing to do, nowhere to go. So I walked back to the Haight. Took about an hour, hour and a half. It was a lovely walk. And the fear of financial insecurity was taken from me at that point. But we can do lots and lots of these kinds of stories. All right. Any other thoughts or questions on this one? Next one.
Shanta sansara kallola kalavaanapi nishkalaha ya sachitopi nishchataha sa jivan mukta uchyate, in whom the huge waves of worldly existence have abated, who, though possessed of parts, is undivided and whole, and who, though possessed of the mind, is devoid of limiting thoughts, he is said to be liberated while living.
Yes. So even though they have a mind, they think, they can cogitate, the limiting thoughts are gone. The whole limiting mind is rooted in jiva bhavana. I think I'm a person. The conviction that the Vishwa, the phenomenal world, is real and separate, inherently joy-giving or misery-producing. Kartavya, struggle. That is the limiting mind. That is the mind that is suffering itself. That is samsara. That is maya. That's avidya. And is dukkha. Has all those different names. That is gone. And what's the first part of it again?
In whom the huge waves of worldly existence have abated.
Yeah. So for the ordinary person, the world is real. And I have to do things about it. I have to worry, wring my hands, and convince people of things, and be fearful. But for the Jivan Mukta, Maudam, silence. It's like the storming waves in the ocean after the storm. The glassy sea. Any thoughts on this? Next one.
समस्तार्थजातेषु व्यवहार्यपि शीतलः परार्थेष्विश्वपूर्णात्मा स जीवन्मुक्त उच्यते. Who, though acting among the entire collection of objects, is cool and contented, as if he were acting among the properties of others, he is said to be liberated while living.
Yes. So because they've given up this personal identification with the body, it's as if the house, the car, the bank account, everything else, people, they belong to somebody else. No possessions, only things to use, nothing to own. And here, one of my favorite terms that's unique that I felt to this scripture, Shitala Manasa. Shitala means cool. Those of us who are old enough to remember the beat days in the 50s. Oh, that's cool. Be cool, boy. Cool cat, yeah. This is 1,000 years old. Cool. It isn't heated. A still mind. A joyful mind. All right, next one.
जीवन्मुक्तिपदं त्यक्त्वा स्वदेहे कालसात्कृते विशत् यदेहमुक्तत्वं पवनोस्पन्दत् आत्मिव. Having abandoned the state of liberation in life, when his body is left at the disposal of time, he enters the state of disembodiment, liberation, just as the wind attains to the state of devoid of motion.
Yes. So I like to draw the parallel of going to the beauty salon or the barber shop. Right now, my hair, it's there. It follows me around. So while the jnani is in the body, they're aware of the body. Of course they are. Just as when you go to the barber shop or the beauty salon and they cut the hair, the locus of identity is not on the floor of the barber shop. You're not down there going, oh, I've been caught. I tell you, when the body dies, it will just fall off in the same way. and the subtle body dissolves. You go. In the dialogues of Plato, the person of steady wisdom that's extolled is Socrates. We call it yoga. He called it philosophy. Philosophos. What does philosophy actually mean in the Greek? But sophos or Sophia. Wisdom.
Yeah.
Philios, what's that? Love. So philosophy, Greek, means the love of wisdom. It's yoga. One of the things that Socrates said that I love. What else is philosophy but practicing dying? What happens when I die? The body falls away. The gross part of the mind falls away. If you're a jnani, even the subtle parts of the mind fall. What else is meditation? I withdraw my attention from the physical mind. I withdraw my attention from the prana. I withdraw my attention from the mind. I withdraw my attention from the thoughts. I introvert the attentive faculty. I get out of the mind. And in the deepest states of meditation, only I exist. That is practicing dying. Those of you who are regular meditators and have had these deep moments, are they scary? Or are they wonderful? So for the Jivan Mukta, Jivan Mukti, there's no real difference. The mark of the person of steady wisdom is they know they are not the body. They are already videha, beyond the body. It's a difference without a distinction. Any thoughts on this? I thought I heard a thought. Did I?
No.
Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om. Sri